A certain fact that we understand about our world is that nature can strike at almost any moment. It can be clear one minute, then raining, sleeting, snowing, causing a hurricane, a tornado can strike down, flooding happens all over the place, and so on and so forth. What really strikes people, though, isn't hearing that a powerful natural phenomena has happened, but rather that it's been caught on camera and that it must have been absolutely terrifying to go and live through. As such, allow us to show you the most insane natural phenomena caught on camera. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Number 8. Landslide of a land chunk. Believe it or not, a landslide can mean a lot of different things, mainly because these phenomena can be caused by all sorts of things in nature: earthquakes, volcanoes, the right kind of storm, etc. More times than not, though, it's rainfall and water releases from things like rivers and lakes that cause them the most. Mainly because the water breaks down the ground itself, and when it's oversaturated, it just continues to break down. And when gravity gets a hold of the loose dirt and rock, things go sliding, sometimes in massive proportions. Such as this video from June of 2020, which shows a massive chunk of land in Norway being broken off and dragged into the nearby waters. There are a couple of things that need to be noted here. Mainly that this chunk is 24 acres in size. And your eyes aren't deceiving you. There are homes on that chunk of land being washed away into the nearby sea. Now, the good news is that the people on that chunk of land were evacuated and thus no one got hurt. However, you can imagine how devastated they were to realize just how unsafe they were this whole time. And they were lucky to have gotten off before everything was literally sunk. 7. Landslide implosion. As we noted earlier, landslides can take all sorts of different forms. A great example that is different from the one we just showed you happened in Malaysia in 1993. Because in this case, a massive amount of earth just decided to collapse in a series of landslides that makes you look at it and think everything is imploding on itself. It's quite a visual, and a scary one at that. Sure, the footage isn't the best, but don't lose the message here. This place was fine right before everything started to collapse, proving to you that these things can happen quickly and violently, and you better hope that no one is caught up in that, or else there's going to be some very heavy losses. You almost have to wonder what it would feel like to be caught up in such an earth-moving event. 6. Hail no. Hail is something that we're often told about and even warned about, but not exactly something that we fear on an everyday level. Because hail only happens when water freezes in good-sized chunks, which can happen, obviously, but not during every rainstorm. But what gets most people stunned is when people find themselves caught in storms that just don't downpour hail, but rain down softball-sized hail. And to be clear, this size of hail isn't a once-in-a-lifetime kind of thing. They've been documented all over the world. In fact, one such hailstorm and its aftermath were recorded in Texas in 2020. The hailstorm went and ruined cars, buildings, and more due to their incredible size and the speed they hit the items with. But, believe it or not, that's not the worst of it. In Mexico, one hailstorm was so strong that it built up and basically created 5 feet of snow in certain areas. And to be clear, this was usually a desert area of Mexico. And yet, they had one of the most intense hailstorms imaginable. It goes to show you how nature takes no prisoners at times. 5. Beacon of Maracaibo. Lightning is a common occurrence all over the world. But in Venezuela, there is lightning that virtually never stops. It's called the Beacon of Maracaibo. Every night in western Venezuela over the Catatumbo River, starting at around 7 p.m., lightning will start to strike the river, and it won't stop for the next 10 hours. This storm happens between 140 and 260 days of the year, and can strike around 280 times per hour. But why does it do that? Why is it so consistent and recordable? No one knows. Many theories have been hatched, but none have been proven definitively. We do know that weather conditions can affect it though, because during a drought in 2010 caused the event to temporarily stop for a few months. The lightning is so powerful and visual that it can be viewed from around 250 miles away. In many ways, the Beacon of Maracaibo is a tourist destination for some, from a safe distance at least, because they want to see the never-ending lightning storm. And honestly, it's hard to blame them for that. The videos that have come from this phenomena is nothing short of awe-inspiring, and you can see why so many people want to see it up close. It's almost too incredible to be real. 4. Avalanches. While most people aren't in areas that have avalanches, just about everyone knows that you don't mess with them if you are in such a vicinity. These walls of snow are the cause of many deaths in the mountain ranges over the years. In October 2017, one person was able to go and get an avalanche on camera, and it was intense to say the least. Plus, it showed just how innocuous these events can appear at times, even when the opposite is true. Because when the camera starts rolling on said avalanche, it doesn't look that bad. But then, the snow accumulates and picks up speed, and when it does that, it looks much more intense. Shortly after that, it falls into a gully and everything is over, right? Wrong, because the snow shoots back up into the air in columns that honestly appear to be in slow motion, and they're towering over the cameraman. These avalanches can go up to 190 miles per hour, which is why you don't want to be anywhere near such a snowy event when it happens, because you won't outrun it. And the amount of snow coming down can and will bury you. So, if you are in an area where avalanches are possible, you'll want to make sure you're being mindful, or else. 3. Massive floods. Floods are a type of natural phenomenon that honestly affect more people than you'd think. There's a reason flood insurance is suggested for certain homeowners after all. But what gets lost in the shuffle of the floods happening all over the place is that some of them are well and truly massive in scale. For proof of this, check out these videos that were shown in Libya after a massive flood ripped through their country in certain areas. The muddy water that is portrayed is able to not just flood streets, but move cars with ease down the road. The scale of the water was so grand that there were whole parts of cities drowned in said water. There was millions upon millions of property damage. Adding to the madness, if you look at Italy, you'll see that they too had some pretty bad floods as of late. But their woes were compounded when said water went and opened up sinkholes in the city. Yeah, for real. The water, if you will, was building at such a rate that there were reports of whole houses and buildings being caught up and swept away. So, don't you dare think that a little water isn't that scary. It absolutely is. 2. Typhoon. There are all sorts of tropical storms that can go and happen in the world. One of them is a typhoon, which is a massive weather event that can cause winds to roar at over 100 miles per hour. One happened in November 2020, and the footage of the storm doing its work is shocking. We see one building's entire side being ripped off by the wind. One typhoon named Goni hit the Philippines and was labeled a Category 5 typhoon. That's very bad. Especially since the strength of this typhoon lasted for over a day, and the islands were hit with winds that sometimes reached 200 miles per hour. Number 1. Hurricanes. Look up hurricanes on places like Google, and you'll see all sorts of videos detailing their destructive potential. There's a reason we go and name phenomena like these, because they are among some of the most destructive forces in our world. Whether it be hurricanes like Katrina or Harvey, they make landfall and just cause devastation. Katrina ripped through New Orleans and caused such damage that it took years to get through it, and they're still paying the price for that storm. Houston got hit by Harvey, and you could see various videos of neighborhoods being completely flooded. Wind and water combine in a hurricane to wreak maximum destruction. That's why when a warning goes out about them, you'd be wise to listen. So, What do you think? What do you think of this look at the time's intense natural phenomena were caught on camera? Can you believe that this footage was captured and able to be shown to the world? Does looking at this footage make you personally glad you weren't even close to those disasters when they happened? Were you near one yourself at one time and got a good look at what was going on? Let us know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe, and we'll see you next time on the channel.